Hi friends, Megan and Wendy here, and in honor of Hallmark airing The Chicken Sisters on Hallmark Channel, we are re-airing our original reviews and recaps of these episodes that were originally recorded back in September and October of 2024. So enjoy The Chicken Sisters and enjoy these recaps and reviews.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark movie fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
Today we're discussing The Chicken Sisters, episode 2, maybe titled I Walk the Line, streaming exclusively on Hallmark Plus. There is a disparity between what IMDb is calling these episodes and how they are listed on Hallmark Plus. So last week we said episode 1 was called Family is Family, and this episode is I Walk the Line. If you look at Hallmark Plus, episode 1 was Welcome to Merrimack, y'all, and episode 2 is We're on the Same Team, y'all. Wendy noticed that disparity.
Are they going to keep the y'all, I can't even say it, y'all thing from episode to episode?
Right? Is this like a Friends, the one where they situation? Mm-hmm. You know, they named them and they're like, no, we need something to tie it in. We got to go back to The Way Home where everything's a song title. What's going to be our thing? Apparently, y'all's their thing.
Okay.
We shall see. Quick housekeeping. If you want to hang out with us outside the podcast, please follow us on Instagram, where we have not one, but 2 Instagram accounts. We are Girls Gone Hallmark for all things Hallmark, and we are Megan and Wendy.
You don't understand the joy I feel when I see someone who I recognize as a follower on the Girls Gone Hallmark account is also a follower on the Megan and Wendy account.
Does that bring you joy?
It does.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. Hey, we have a Facebook group. It's for listeners of the podcast and Hallmark fans in general. It is called Girls Gone Hallmark. As the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm thinking not a lot of people are talking about this show in our group.
No, I do think Hallmark Plus is a little bit of a barrier for some people.
Just based on the response in the group to the additional streaming service. And
I think it will be interesting to see, and I don't know how much we'll know, but I'm very curious how it's performing based on Hallmark's projections. Because this is a little bit of an experiment they're doing, launching a service with all of this exclusive content. They did occasionally have a direct-to-streaming movie like Christmas in July, Countdown to Christmas, that situation. Mm-hmm. But this is new.
We're never going to know the details. We'll never know the numbers.
No, I agree. We won't ever know the numbers.
I mean, because
like Netflix doesn't release them.
Right. And Lisa Daly Hamilton.
Switch it around.
Lisa Hamilton Daly came from Netflix. She's not going to share the secrets.
No, of course not. It will be interesting to see if this comes to linear programming quicker than we imagined it might have.
If it does, it won't be until after the first of the year. I mean,
for sure,
it will definitely be sometime in the season they need it in March,
after The Way Home is concluded. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. If you have thoughts on the Chicken Sisters and want to share them with us, you can always email us, girlsgonehallmark@gmail.com.
I'm just noodling over this in my head. I actually think the ideal release time for this series on linear programming would be summer 2025, because you'll have The Way Home, then you'll have the new season of One Calls the Heart. Oh. Then you could air this. And if history repeats itself, the new season begins in September. So you're keying people up. The season ends. Then they got to subscribe to get the new season, or they have to wait an entire year.
Guys, hire Megan.
That's my prediction.
We have been talking off mic about Hallmark Plus.
Yeah.
I know this isn't in our rundown of things we're going to talk about.
I can pivot.
We were talking about their drop dates and how they are a little bit frustrating.
It's just Thursday heavy. Everything drops on Thursdays.
Yes, but so if you don't have Hallmark Plus, what they're doing is they drop every new episode and new movies on Thursdays. Like everything.
And as of right now, that means Chicken Sisters, The Jane Mysteries, and Love on the Danube. New episodes and new movies are dropping on Thursday. So it's 3 things, but there are 6 other days of the week.
It's hard as a Hallmark movie review podcast to actually consume all that entertainment over the span of a weekend. And here we are. We're recording this on Monday.
For me, it would be way easier if they were dropping it earlier. I just wonder if it's like the pivot from this is an audience of people who look forward to new weekend content. They're used to new Friday and Saturday content. And so now we're just extending the weekend a little bit. But I think we need to pivot to the behavior of a streamer, which is like, I need something to watch on Monday night when I sit down with my TV to disassociate after a long day at work.
I also wish that they would drop multiple episodes instead of just one. That's the behavior of a streamer, to binge watch.
Yeah, but Apple TV drops
They do. You're right.
episodically.
Hulu does too. They'll drop like 1 or 2 at a time.
And even Netflix has been toying around with dropping like the first half of a season and the second half of a season. They just did that with Emily in Paris so that they drag it out. That's also done so that people have to pay for a second month of streaming.
Sure. I mean, I know there's a rhyme and reason behind all of it, but
I'm honestly glad they didn't drop the whole thing from our reviewing standpoint.
I don't even think we could have reviewed
I would
it.
literally be like a cartoon in quicksand waving a white flag. Like,
All right, so let's talk about episode 2.
let's do it.
Whatever the title is. It's either I Walk the Line or We're on the Same Team, y'all. Here's the synopsis. As Kitchen Clash begins filming, tensions between Franny's and Mimi's and sisters Amanda and May and their mother Gus are running high. Wow.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Tensions are running high with every party involved.
Indeed.
This stars Skylar Fisk, Genevieve Angelson, Leah Thompson, and Wendy Malick, who has appeared on Hallmark Movie.
We did issue a correction the very next day on our episode of Love in the Danube, but if you're only listening to Chicken Sisters content, we heard you loud and clear. I did make a mistake in last week's news and notes. We are aware that Wendy Malick, of her many, many credits, does include several appearances on the Hallmark Channel. Our deepest apologies to Wendy Malick and her resume.
You've been really carrying this on your shoulders for a whole week, haven't you?
We have, when I tell you, people have contacted us via every medium, Instagram DM, email, YouTube comment, Facebook comment. I'm like, they're going to knock on my front door next. It's like Harry Potter. This isn't a reference you're going to understand, but when
She's talking to me about the Harry Potter reference because I don't know anything. Go ahead.
Yes, when his uncle throws away the Hogwarts letter and continues to throw them away, those owls are going to find their way in and they're like shooting through the fireplace. That's how I felt about these comments. I actually do appreciate when people reach out with information that we didn't know. I just felt badly about myself for the mistake.
It's a fine. Wendy Malick, we'd love to have you on the show. Our format for these episodes is a little bit different than our movies, movie reviews. So what we're going to do first is talk news and notes.
Last week we ran through a good portion of the cast, but it is a pretty big cast, so don't worry, we didn't forget about the rest of them. We're going to jump right in with James Cott, who plays Frank Jr. James has 31 acting credits, and most recently those credits include Virgin River, Christmas on Cherry Lane, and When Calls the Heart.
I don't remember him from Christmas on Cherry Lane. I think I do remember him. I think he was like the young dad who was the police officer who died. I could be wrong.
Bye, James.
Jake Foy plays Kenneth. Hey, we first met Jake when he played Tough McMurray on the One Season Wonder ride. We're glad to have him back on Hallmark. I think he's very good. Other roles in his 22 credits include Designated Survivor, a little daytime drama, Wilderness, and Allegiance.
I'm a little bit shocked that you used the expression One Season Wonder because you'll notice that exact phrase appears later in these very same notes. Cardi Wong plays Jen. Cardi has 54 acting credits, including his role on Tip Line Mysteries, Dial 1 for Murder. His other Hallmark appearances include Flip That Romance, One Winter Proposal, My Best Friend's Bouquet, and The Crossword Mysteries.
I loved Cardi Wong in Tip Line Mysteries. He was really good. I like to see a second movie in that franchise. Hector Rivera plays Sergio. He's the He's the cook. They call him the cook.
The hot chef.
Not even chef. He is the cook.
It's the vibe of Mimi's. They got a fry cook.
Yes. This is his 13th acting credit and his third appearance on Hallmark, having previously appeared in Groundswell, the Lacey Chabert joint. He also had a role in the thriller Startup, which is streaming on Crackle. Look, if listeners here don't have Hallmark Plus, they surely don't have Crackle.
But Crackle's free.
Oh, okay. I know your husband watches Crackle a lot, right? To get his old TV.
Tubi is the source of old television, BT dubs. If you like old shows, Tubi is free. Lots of ads. Archie Candola plays cameraman Gordo. He's currently appearing in the Hulu series How to Die Alone, which, by the way, just strolling through his credits made me want to watch that. That is another series that is dropping episodically on Hulu. His 25 credits also include Our Big Punjabi Family, Upload, and the one season wonder I wish everyone would watch, No Tomorrow, available on Netflix, y'all. It's like 10 or 12 episodes. It's so good.
It's sci-fi. I'm out.
It's barely sci-fi. It's a guy who believes the world is ending, but he doesn't like time travel. He just thinks the world is ending. The world doesn't end.
Samir Salem plays Jay. He has a total of 33 acting credits, mostly trending toward grittier fare. He did appear in one episode of Hudson and Rex and also has appeared in Yellow Jackets, The Handmaid's Tale, and The Good Doctor.
Andrew J. Hampton plays Kenneth's husband, Hattrick. Andrew's first full-length feature was in Grease Live, where he had an uncredited role. Since then, he has appeared in Atypical, The Flash, So Help Me Todd, Blockbuster, Dream Moms, and Upload for a total of 15 acting credits.
Funny with the Upload crossover here. Mentioned more than once. Kimmy Gatewood and Annie Meebane return as director and writer, respectively.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back with more Chicken Sisters. All right, so this is episode 2, and we are going to run down kind of the key events in this episode. Do you have like an overall feeling about this episode compared to episode 1?
I hate to say it, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot to me was snappy. It was filled with one-liners. It was real funny. I think maybe now we got to tell the story, right? The pilot was like, had such a heavy burden on it to introduce all these characters, introduce the story. And now we got to like take it back, y'all, and slow it down and just tell the story.
I agree with you, but I also think, did episode 2 get Hallmarkified a little bit?
Oh.
Because if you listen to our episode 1 review, I went through a list of things that they said. Words I've never heard on Hallmark before. This episode completely lacked any of that kind of verbiage.
I mean, yes. But the behavior, I mean, they address miscarriage, which isn't something we usually get.
Yes.
We got teens breaking the law. Let's talk about how this movie starts. This episode has kind of an overarching theme of what it means to be a Franny's girl, particularly from Nancy's perspective, and how Nancy always wanted to be a Franny's girl. A Franny's girl is a good girl, and a Mimi's girl is from the wrong side of the tracks.
Basically. And I like that they set this up this way because then you clearly see that there's a lot of factors at play here. It could be like socioeconomic factor, wrong side of the tracks, like who has more, who has less. I like that they divided that and gave us like some meat to it.
And there's almost, to me, it felt like a little bit of an acknowledgement of the sacrifices that Nancy had to make in order to be a Franny's girl. Although not called out by name, to me, it felt like there was some jealousy towards maybe the freedom that the, quote, Mimi's girl had.
Sure.
I assume that girl playing cornhole is Gus, like a young Gus, just drinking a beer and playing with the guys. And although Nancy in that scene is walking with her husband or future husband, and she has what she wanted, there's also this other side where she's like, look at how fun that is too.
Yeah. The grass is always greener, right?
Well, I will say that I think Nancy is a very unifying force in this story. And I think introducing her as someone who, as opposed to Gus, Gus is angry. Gus does not share the I can understand the Franny's girl and the Mimi's girl feeling. She's like, no, those are the Mimi's people are bad. And Nancy is more like, I wanted to be a Franny's girl, but I can see the appeal of being a Mimi's girl.
I'm getting a lot of like the Outsiders vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Remember like the Soches and
The Greasers, that's my favorite unit to teach in 7th grade.
Oh, really? Yeah, and especially of the time too, because that I would guess would be like the time frame that these teenagers were growing up in was very much like them and us.
Sure.
I felt bad for Nancy being like the woman behind the man.
Yeah.
And like just pouring her whole everything into who he was and to become very much a shadow of him. I always try to relate to my own life, and I have a teenage daughter, and there is no way I would want her to live that life.
You know, it's interesting because she feels really lost. The narrator says, like, when your entire identity is being a wife and a mom, what happens when you're no longer those things?
Right.
And when you watch this story starts, we don't have a Frank in the picture. He's passed. Nancy seems like she's running the show, but she feels like, no, I've just taken Frank's place. Like, this isn't my place. I'm just filling in a hole that was left behind. And what's also really hard to watch is the way Frank Jr. treats her.
Agree.
And the narrator makes a comment like, you could see why she would allow that. But to me, I'm like, I understand that she was heartbroken. Frank Jr. was her one and only child. She struggled with fertility and with pregnancy loss. And that's heartbreaking. And I love that they're giving us that storyline. But to me, I'm like, just because you got this one kid who sucks, she's just like, please love me. Please give back to me what I've given to you. Like, please let me have fulfillment in being your mom. And he's just so unhappy.
What is funny is I wonder if, did Frank Sr. treat her that way too? Like, was that behavior modeled for Frank Jr., or does Frank Jr. just suck in general? He surely doesn't treat his wife that well either.
I will say in the book, we do learn some stuff about the Franks.
Well, I hope that's coming, because there does need to be a little context for those characters.
Let's talk about Sabrina.
I love Sabrina.
We learn a lot about her. We have a little bit of a moment where she and May reconnect. And what I love is that Amanda's looking on and she's seeing this moment. She's like, oh, they're friends. And Sergio Safini's like, I'm sure it's fine. Great for me because I'm Team Mimi's.
Right.
But we very quickly learn that Sabrina is the master of making you believe one thing and acting another way. Like, she's a real sneaky snake. She's going to get the shot at whatever the cost. And so she's letting May believe like things are all good while telling Amanda like, oh no, we are not good friends. We've worked together, and trying to worm her way in with Amanda. And then she's got her cameraman filming this conversation she has.
Yeah.
And she gets Amanda to accidentally spill about donkeys, which to me, I'm like, that's Hooters, right?
For sure.
Because Sabrina's like, the butt restaurant, because they couldn't make it the boobs restaurant.
What is significant we learn about Sabrina, obviously May knows what's up. May tells Amanda at the end, she will make you believe that she's your friend. And you see it on Amanda's face. She's like, oh shit, I've already fallen for it.
Okay, you see it on Amanda's face, but the narrator says it's too late for Amanda. My question is, do you think Amanda believes May in that moment? Like, is she inclined to believe, or is she just like, May doesn't want good things for me?
I think Amanda and May's relationship is real complicated.
And it's not made better by the fact that May comes in and she's like, got her I've been on TV energy and is trying to tell everyone. I actually think it's really smart from an outsider's perspective. She's like, no, y'all need media training. You need to know that Sabrina will do what she's going to do to get the shot. But Amanda doesn't want to listen to her. And it also creates all this conflict. You see Gus and Nancy. Gus won't even face. She's got her back to the entire group when they're having their media training moment.
So, like, why does Gus have beef with Nancy?
Well, they haven't given it to us yet.
But you know, because of the book.
In the book, there's reasoning why, but it's less Nancy and more like the legacy of Franny's and the Franny's versus Mimi's of it all. I am curious to see how they handle it in the show and see if it's the same, but there's just a long history of Gus feels like she hasn't gotten what she's deserved.
Got it.
I mean, in the story as we're told, right, it's that Mimi's husband cheated with Franny.
Right.
And so there's this long-standing beef.
I mean, like, really?
But there's got to be more there.
There's got to be more there. They're from a small town. Maybe Gus was interested in Frank at some point. Who knows?
I don't
Whatever.
think that's what it was.
Okay, fine.
Let's talk about Kenneth.
Yes, Jake Foy.
I'm so glad to see Jake Foy back on Hallmark, by the way.
He's very likable.
Super likable. He was one of my favorite parts about Ride, even though that show was not that great. You liked it a lot less than I did. I found it watchable, but forgettable. But I'm real happy to have Jake Foy back. He plays, and I like his story. Like, the throwback is like he and May both were like, gotta get the heck out of town. And he came back because his mom was sick and settled. And he is in this position where he's like, I can see the value in like giving back, in building up, in being the change in this town. Like, look at all the things that I've done here. Look at the people here. And she's still very like, I can't believe you're here.
Right.
I can't believe like you're friends with my mom. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, yeah, she's been pretty great to me.
Yeah, I think, well, May needs a person in her life. So I think it's a good character introduction.
I like that he is her friend, but he's also like gonna call her on her bullshit.
Yeah. Me too. I like that.
She says something about like everybody in this town sucks. Like there's nothing good to ever come out of this town. And he's like, bye.
Oh,
Like that's when he leaves. He bails. He's like, I'm not going to help you paint this
that's right, when
stupid
they're
restaurant
painting it.
overnight.
Yeah.
Like I got a coffee shop and an inn to run in
Yeah, I'm
this
busy.
small town. I don't have time for your bullshit.
yeah. No, that's good.
And then to your point about the Hallmarkification of this episode, she does get drunk and just slap paint over the chicken sign.
Okay, fine.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just being difficult.
I just think they turned the Hallmarkified dial a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Mm-hmm. Lots of questions about the character of Jen, played by Cardi Wong.
Yeah.
So I was wrong. I suspected last week that he was Kenneth's husband, Patrick. That is incorrect. That's played by the actor Andrew J. Hampton. I mentioned that there's some information that we have about Gus from the book that I don't know if that'll be introduced here. We think he's potentially her therapist.
Some sort of in that role somehow.
And I think they're still trying to like, maybe they're having an affair, but they're not having an affair.
They're trying to mislead viewers. Yeah, that something salacious is happening. I agree with you. Definitely post first episode, I was like, what's going on between these two? They were fooling around, blah, 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 blah. But now, yeah, I see that's not the case. Maybe if you're just watching this as a casual viewer and not trying to really figure out like who everybody is and all the players in the game, then you don't question. Like,
I also think this is one of the reasons I have really mixed feelings about reading the book before I see a movie or TV adaptation of it. Typically, I'm like, you got to read the book first. But then I spend the entire time going, wait, did that happen in the book? Wait, did that happen? And my memory for things that I read is like a goldfish. So I don't remember things very long. So sometimes I prefer not to have read the book, and I can't help myself. I know things about the book, so I'm trying to compare. One thing we didn't talk about is in the book, and maybe this will be the last time I say that today, May is married with 2 children. He and Jay are married. I think the reason that they've made them engaged is because it doesn't make sense. In the book, her husband doesn't know her mom. Like maybe they met at her wedding, but he's never been to her hometown. Is completely shocked by the state of things. Like she has kept all of this from him. And I think that's harder to believe when you're married with 2 children than just engaged. This guy doesn't know the ins and outs of your family.
in the book, does May return home with the husband and the 2 kids?
No, she returns home with the children.
Oh, interesting.
It's the same situation. Like she gets fired and he's like, cool, now we can take time off and travel the world. And she's like, peace, I'm going home to be on another show. And she takes the children.
Got it.
Finally, we have little Lindsay, Sabrina's daughter.
Yes.
who is a challenging teenager.
Aren't they all?
You know, it's funny. She's just so over small town Merrimack. And poor Frankie's just like trying to be a good friend. And she's like, we got fun stuff here. But I love when Frankie was like kind of over her when Lindsay's like, do y'all have a bodega? And she's like, we got a Stop and Shop. And she goes, what's that? And she's like, it's a bodega.
I mean, they didn't fall off the turnip truck. Like a Stop and Shop sounds like any gas station market that you would go to, no?
Seriously.
I mean, I'm from New York City. I don't know where I pulled that commercial on, but it's like the same kind of thing. And the parallel is kind of similar if you think about it. We have at the beginning, you know, Nancy and Gus from two different sides, right? And now we have Lindsay and Frankie. They are from two different worlds as well.
Yeah, great.
But I mean, current day teenagers are pretty with it. It's not like
She's on TikTok.
yeah, and
She's seen the world outside of her little New York window.
And it's pretty funny to think, like, I mean, obviously, we live here in Southern California. Like, when I see teenagers, like I said, like, they're pretty with it. Here we have this teenager in Merrimack who doesn't seem very worldly.
I don't think that's that unusual.
It is to me just because of where I'm from. You know what I mean?
When I was in middle school, my best friend moved to Siloam Springs, Arkansas, our freshman year of high school. And she was like, there's nothing to do here. People drink. Like, that's all they do. Like, they go to the football game and then they go get drunk.
Teenagers too?
Yes.
Okay, well then, if we're applying that scenario to this, like, Frankie seemed like she was like, oh my God, we would never. Like,
well, I'm just saying, yeah, but Frankie seems like she's like, I got big plans. Like, I'm going to college.
oh, well, I will say in regards to like when she's like, I got big plans, I'm going to go to New York and Broadway and whatever. I thought Lindsay was a real bitch.
Yeah, she's like, you're not getting in.
I thought that was so mean.
Yes. Shut up, Lindsay. What are you doing?
What are you doing, Lindsay? Looking for the next rave?
Let's talk some Cluck-worthy moments.
My favorite scene is when, and we already mentioned it, but when Amanda mistakenly tells Sabrina that May worked at Donkey's, Sabrina's reaction was incredible, I thought. I mean, I know we're not supposed to like Sabrina, but it was so funny to me. She was like, just spouts off about like deep fried queso to tourists. It was good.
I know we're not supposed to like Sabrina as a person, but as a character, I mean, she is bringing drama, so she's super enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing I loved was the montage of everyone getting ready. I loved, you know, they've got like May with like full contour and the works.
That was really executed really well, I thought.
Gus splashes hose water on her face. And Sabrina tells Amanda, she's like, just blend it all the way off. You got to start over. Speaking of Sabrina, when Lindsay's complaining to her, she's like, I'm supposed to hang out with this random teen. She goes, yeah. And to her, you're also a random teen. As much as Sabrina is like not about small town Merrimack and is like a New York elite, she's also like, get over yourself.
Totally.
Loved it. Here's a real sweet moment I loved. When Gordo shares the footage with Nancy, because Nancy's like, I can't do this. This is not for me. And he's like, no. And he shows the scene showing her how sincere and warm she comes off on camera. And Nancy's talking about Amanda being the daughter she never had, and we know the backstory there. I thought it was a really touching moment because we don't know Gordo up to that point.
I like him too. Yeah, he's like, the camera loves you. I don't know if he said that, but that was the sentiment there.
Yes. Did you love you can put your boots in the oven that don't make them biscuits?
Did that just go way over my head?
The narrator said it at one point.
I don't even remember.
And I don't remember which character said, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Lots of small town Southern colloquialism.
Hey, I have a question for you. I had read some criticism about the accent Wendy Malick is using.
Yeah, I would be the wrong person to ask about a Southern accent. To me, it sounds great.
What do I know from California? New York City.
I'm a Barbie girl. I don't know. Yeah. This stuff's made in New York City.
It works well. It works well for me.
Me too.
It works well for me. Do you have a feathered friend of the week?
To me, it's Gordo. simply because he was the biggest surprise in this episode. Given that this episode was largely about Nancy and how she sees herself, allowing him to be the vehicle to allow her to maybe change the way she sees herself.
Yeah.
As like a fully formed human and not just the replacement for the hole left behind for her husband. I like a lot.
Yeah. I don't know, it was very thoughtful.
Thanks. Who's your feathered friend of the week?
Like I said, I love the character of Sabrina. I think Rukia Bernard plays her perfectly. Every time she's on screen, I love to watch her mouth for some reason. I'm so drawn into like watching her mouth. She just has a great smile too, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's super weird. It's super weird that I'm watching that closely. But I loved how like she navigated the whole replacing Frank Jr. in those scenes because he was an idiot. Like she was trying to convince Nancy. And then I just think Sabrina is producing the shit out of the show.
Right.
And it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's real believable that they're making the show. We got to get the shot. Nobody cares about you and your dumb taps.
Right. That was so funny.
I did feel a little bit bad for Frank Jr. in that moment.
He's a garbage husband.
He is a garbage husband. He's a garbage son. But Nancy had been like, just be yourself. So he's like, this is who I am. This is what I contribute. And she was like, no.
But I actually felt bad for Nancy in that scene because she's like so proud of this boy for being passionate about whatever. And then, I don't like Frank Jr.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. As a reminder, you know what tomorrow is? It's my birthday. You know what I want for my birthday? I want reviews. I want reviews on Girls Gone Hallmark. 5 stars. Let everybody know why you love our podcast. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.